BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello and welcome to episode 560 of BRB UK. I am a Coleman. Hi. Just a Coleman today. No Dan. Dan is, well, as you know, Dan is the world's biggest Harry Potter fan, and there was a sad passing of Sir Michael Gambon today, also known as Dumbledore. So Dan will be in mourning for the next 3 shows, we think. He will be out in his little black robe and his little black school tie and his little black blazer, sat there in mourning, trying to cast whatever spell brings back people.
Are you making out that Dan went to Hogwarts? Is that what you're saying? I'm not sure that
magical,
was
the wizarding world of Harry Potter, Tim. That's where Dan is.
Doctor Wizard Dan, yeah?
Yes. Tim is here also.
Good.
We're not. Tim got forced into Harry Potter at an earlier age and was not happy with the product, and I just like the video game and none of the actual films or anything that goes along with it because it's a fun game. Anywho, how you doing, Tim?
Yeah, all right, okay. I'm going to move away from the Harry Potter, mainly due to the author.
That's fine.
But hey.
Well, I meant more. I was more. Let's do a little nod to Sir Michael Gambon and
yes,
his untimely passing.
But I was a bit disappointed where a lot of people were like Sir Michael Gambon, who's a whole career, a whole plethora of things throughout his career that he could have been known by, Laughing Policeman and lots of other things that his real high points. And it's the second Dumbledore. Like he was known as the stand-in Dumbledore, and it's like. That wasn't that wasn't the summation of his...
I can't remember. I literally watched all of those films over lockdown, so I don't remember too much about them. They all kind of morph into one. Does he take over from the second film?
It may have been late in that, I thought.
Wait, he's in more films than he isn't, so he's basically the Dumbledore.
I would go with that. Yes.
But yeah, I don't understand why people... I mean, there's a big thing on the internet where people just... You can't talk about politics. You can't talk about economics. You can't talk about any kind of situation in the world unless you liken it to popular culture. So therefore, a political leader you don't like, you have to call them Voldemort or Darth Vader or the Emperor.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. Of course, they will always throw the roles out, be if they are related to Star Wars or Harry Potter or Star Trek or a Marvel film or something along those lines. But yeah, I'll throw a random one out there because it's one that I know not a lot of people like. But they did a movie remake version of Dad's Army, and I thought he was really good.
And
he
was in that, and he was quite funny in that. From what I've heard,
I really
haven't
liked that
actually
film.
seen it, but Layer Cake is the one that I think of when I think of Michael Gambon, but
Wow. I haven't thought about that film in a long time.
Yeah. I only actually watched it in its entirety fairly recently, I think during lockdown. But yeah, I'd never watched the whole film before until fairly recently. But anyway, yeah, it's sad that he's gone a little bit too early. It would have been nice for him to, continue, but hey.
Yeah, we just thought we'd have an impromptu memorial because I, on the fly, forgot to think of why a Dan could be this week. Yeah. Speaking of which, writer strike's over. That's pretty good. Actor strike.
Oh, is it?
Not so much.
I didn't hear that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of heavy stuff going on about stopping AI being used in film writing, which is good.
Oh,
it's good
okay.
that we're not doing that.
I mean, films written by IA would be rubbish. I mean, there's enough films written by humans that are rubbish, but let's not do that.
I mean, there's a film written by multiple humans and originally one human, but because of a passing, called AI, and that's rubbish as well. So, yeah.
Exactly. See? There you go.
Should we start with these weird tangents to talk about some video games?
Yeah, let's do that.
Excellent. I think you should go first because you've been playing originally you brought this up 1 or 2 weeks ago talking about Ghostrunner 2, thinking that you might jump in on that, which me and Dan thought this might not be a Tim game, not having played the second game, but having played the demo of the first game, thinking this is a very kind of fast-paced platformer, lots of muscle memory kind of stuff, and even though you might look at that and go, yes, I love Mirror's Edge. You would play this and go, this is not Mirror's Edge. But you've gone ahead and given the demo for Ghostrunner 2 a try, and I would like to know what your impressions are so far, sir.
Okay, so this is definitely a not for Tim game, but possibly not at the point you thought it would not be. It was definitely not at the point that I was like, nope, I'm out, I'm done, this is it. Like, I actually quite liked the combat and the platforming. Like, it was hard, it was difficult, but I'm not averse to a hard game. The only thing that I thought was a bit lacking in the combat, and I don't know exactly what about it was, but there felt like there was a slight disconnect between the knowing the location of the enemy that killed you, or like knowing like where you were going. Like, it's fine. Like, it was kind of based on trial and error. You really had to go, oh, I got killed. How did I die? Oh, it was that guy over there that I didn't even see. Kind of, like, and I don't mind that. I don't mind learning the patterns and the layout of the levels and stuff like that. But there did seem to be an extra big disconnect between like particularly being able to locate enemies that were going or were actually attacking you.
Right.
And yeah, like, as I said, that seemed fine. I actually got on with there were bits that annoyed me about the platforming, and there were slight bits that annoyed me about the combat, but I actually got through some reasonably difficult bits of each. And it was actually the bit that I was most looking forward to, that I thought I would like the most, that made me go, nope, I'm out, see you later. And that was the bit on the motorbike. Like, anyone doesn't know...
The bit you were looking forward to.
Yeah, the bit I was looking forward to. I didn't actually get to go down a building, but anyone that doesn't know, Ghostrunner 2, like, one of the things that's added to the equation from the platforming and the combat that you saw in the first game is that you've got like almost a Kira-style motorbike that's like a big, long, cyber kind of punky-esque bike that you're then like boosting away at. And it just... It managed to make something that should have been empowering and fun and go, how could we make this as least fun as possible? I know, let's give it really dodgy controls and then ask you to do something really exact. And it was like,
right.
What? That doesn't mesh well. And also, like, it kind of really unforgiving in the same way that the platforming was, but without the tightness of the controls that the platforming had. So like you have to be like boosting the whole time that you're on the motorbike, and that was generally fine. Like, it was still a bit annoying. There were bits and sections where you had to be boosting, and if you weren't boosting for like a full second, that's it. You lost the signal that you were tracking, and therefore it ended the level and put you back to the beginning of the... But it could be like literally 3 seconds of gameplay, and it would go, nope, go back to the beginning. No, you do. No, go back to the beginning. And that was okay. I got through some challenging bits on that. I was just like, this seems a bit weird. But then there was a section where you're going through a pipe, like a 360-degree kind of pipe that you can drive on the ceiling of and drive on the walls of. And then you're trying to...
if you get all the rings, you get the Chaos Emerald at the end.
Exactly. But no, you're trying to like spin through the pipe and avoid blockages in that pipe to progress. And it just, the controls of the motorbike were not sufficient enough to adequately dodge multiples of those in a row. At least for me, that could be, me not getting good. But it was enough for me to go, you know what? I'm not enjoying this. This doesn't seem like a skill worth learning. It seems like something where the controls are letting me down every time, and I'm playing the same 10 seconds of gameplay 20 times in a row and not enjoying it. I'm out. No, sorry.
Yeah,
no.
I thought that's what would kill it for you, is the repetition aspect and it not being a mobile game. Because that's the only time I kind of find that stuff forgiving, is when it's either a very cheap like arcadey game that you're playing. Do you remember the old Xbox arcade and you pick up games for £1 or £2, like the Impossible Game, that kind of thing? Something that you would be akin to you playing on a mobile phone, But when it's a much more expensive game, it's like, I just don't have the patience to do the trial and error stuff right now.
I think even more for me than you, but possibly a bit for both of us and a bit more than people that are younger than us. I was trained in arcades and games on the Atari 2600. You know what I mean? Like I am used to like coin guzzling, like repetition of levels and going through things again and again. And, I played Space Invaders for like 10 years. You know what I mean? Like it's not exactly like I'm adverse to those things. It's just, when something asks you to do something very precise and doesn't give you the controls necessary to match that precision, that's where I feel like I'm having my time wasted rather than, learning patterns and learning skills and getting good at something. I felt like this isn't something that is it doesn't feel like I'm getting better at this. It feels like I might fluke my way through some of this, but then if they do this again later in the game, I will still be just as bad at it, kind of thing. I mean, like, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's only a demo. That's the reason it's there. You give it a little try. You try before you buy. And to give a kind of other side to this, your co-host on VRB, Kev, I did see on Discord, he put down that he also tried the demo and he thinks it's great.
I think he said
it was legit.
Yeah, which is,
I think that's
he
how
said
the
kids
say chain.
Things
I think
he
said it was keeping it 100 and it was on point. I believe he said it was chef's kiss. And then he got sad about Dumbledore.
But it was a shame because it was. I liked the world. I liked how the stylized setting and the cyberpunk setting. And I actually didn't like. Thought I was going to be more likely to be turned off by the combat and the platforming, but that didn't. And the bit that I was really looking forward to is the bit that put me off. I was like, oh.
Well, Tim, if you like that aesthetic and cyberpunk style and Akira motorcycles, then let me tell you, there's a game out there for you that may have had a bit of a reduction lately. CyberPunk 2077, which I am now becoming dangerously close in the amount of times that I'm talking about this game, that this may become the new show's destiny. Because I don't see myself stopping playing this because I always seemingly have something to do when I boot it up.
I'll tell you why it's not going to become the show's destiny, though, Mr. Coleman, for two reasons. One,
you nearly called me Dan.
Despite the problems, nearly, because you are destinying. But for two reasons. One, despite all of the problems it's had from the beginning, it actually has a story.
Destiny does have
a story. It doesn't have a story. Not in the game.
It's in the game and everything now.
It's not it's not enough of it. They still haven't told you what everything is. Anyway, but reason the second is that I might actually start playing it.
Yes, come join the side of Coleman in CyberPunk 2077. And now is the time to get into it because they have just released the what was meant to be one of a few different expansions, as CD Projekt love to do, is now just going to be the one expansion, and unfortunately only in this generation of consoles, which has screwed over a bunch of people that pre-ordered with a console bundle in the last generation, as I've been seeing. I think that's US specific, though. Phantom Liberty has been released, and with it also a free 2.0 update, which changes a lot of aspects of the game, which I've seen since they've released that patch. People go, now Cyberpunk, this is the game they should have launched. Now Cyberpunk's worth playing and all this kind of stuff. I would argue when they did the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S updates, that's the point to say, now Cyberpunk's worth playing, because that's when I really got into it. I enjoyed a lot of the systems they've now removed. So it's taken me a bit of trial and error going back in, because they've changed a few things, and me being the idiot I am, decided not to read patch notes and not to look at any of the trailers and stuff that were advertising all the changes being made before the game got updated. So
no one's fault but your own, Coleman.
Yeah. So even if you have the game and you're just updating it and not getting the DLC just yet, there's going to be something new for you. So I'll sort of start off with that because even though I have the DLC, I'm not too far into the story missions because I'm still going around doing a lot of side stuff because I just really like doing the side stuff and leveling up my character. And now I've got new ways to level up my character. So first things first, they have removed all of the way that armaments work. So armor works. So before you would have special abilities and armors locked to your clothing. That clothing would be categorized in sort of base green, blue, purple, up to gold, and then sort of special edition gold. Now those clothing still exist. They're still categorized, but they've removed all the stats to them. Instead, all the armor stats and all the specials and all that kind of stuff, that is done through cybernetic mods, and they've enhanced that system as well.
Okay.
So they've given you different slots and different variations and things that you can get for it, but also they've added a kind of, and this will, you might like this idea as I know you watch the CyberPunk anime as well. There's like a level now to how much cybernetics you can have installed into your body before, like how much you can take, which is cool because cyber, what do they call them? Cyber psychos, cyber psychosis. That's like a big plot line in the anime. And one of the kind of side missions in this game is hunting different cyber psychos. And now it's an ability, a quick hack ability. You can cause cyber psychosis as well, which is fun.
Oh, so you can like overload other people, basically, kind of thing.
Yeah. So there's that. So they've changed over all the armaments, and that's fine. The other thing is the police system has changed. That was the big thing that people have complained about for a long time. There are police, but there's not really much to do with them.
Now with Sting or without?
Yes. No, but the restless thing, not the
okay, right.
bassist.
Cool. Even better.
That's quite weird. They've basically done a GTA and lifted their system. There's a wanted system now. The cops, if you annoy them, they will come after you. If you run away and hide, they will eventually get bored and leave you alone, and your wanted level will go back down. The higher your wanted level goes, the more they will start sending after you until they start sending out like private militarized police forces and stuff after you as well. So there's all that kind of fun GTA stuff. And from what I've done, not trying to wind up the police, you can build up that wanted level quite quickly without realizing it. So that's been interesting. Also,
you haven't gone on a mad one where you've just tried to build up that wanted level as quickly as possible and see where it goes.
Not yet, because my V is a good. My V is a good V. I play it very good guy kind of Robin Hood style. With that character. But you can, if you're in a pickle, you can do quick hacks on the police as well, which is cool. So you can treat them like bad guys. You can even, I did this before, not realizing I could quick hack the police and just thought they were random enemies. Just sort of walked up to one on the street and started quick hacking them and went, oh, no, wait, that's a policeman. So that caused some issue. There's that. That's fun. There's now a whole system on the all the kind of battle systems have been updated. The NPC AI stuff has all been upgraded. If you get into a fight with two different factions, now they if they realize it's you that's winding them all up, they'll just team up and go against you. So that's been fun. It's interesting because a lot of stuff they've added, it's like, yeah, this has existed in other games for a long time. It's surprising this has only just been added in now. But yeah, it's that stuff's been interesting. So that's all kind of 2.0. There's a lot more stuff that I've not touched on yet. Vehicles have had a big upgrade where they've added the ability to fire your weapons from vehicles. If you're on a bike, then you can attack people with a samurai sword while you're leaning off your bike. But you can also get mounted turrets and stuff for your vehicles. So that's been all fun. And again, you can quick hack from your vehicle as well. So that's also pretty cool as well. I have been
drive-by quick
all
hacking.
Of those. Drive-by quick hacking. It's been very cool because you can overload cars and things now. So it's a little bit Watch Dogs because I've had the whole thing of driving along, had someone chasing me. When you go into quick hack, it kind of puts you in like a slow down menu type thing. So just sort of turn around, aim at the car, make it explode and drive away. That's been fun. I like doing that stuff. So I'm having a lot of fun with that, the 2.0 stuff. I've also picked up the paid for DLC, which is $24.99, available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. And as I mentioned previously, that's Phantom Liberty. And this one unlocks a new section of the map called Dogtown. and it's kind of like the seedy. Well, I say seedy underbelly. Most of the city is the seedy underbelly in anyway, but it's more of a kind of. There's an ex-military guy who's running the place, and it's all very locked down and incredibly corrupt inside. This one puts you in kind of place of dealing with the new United States of America's president and their version of the FBI trying to protect that president. And it puts you in Dogtown as the president's plane from Space Force One, ends up, which I thought was very funny, ends up getting shot out the sky, crashing into Dogtown, and you have to go and protect them, even though they're pretty capable of protecting themselves as well. And you work with their right-hand man or right-hand woman, Songbird, and and there's also a secret agent who kind of moonlights as a bouncer as well, played by Idris Elba.
I was wondering where he came into the equation.
Yes. So now we have a video game with Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba in it with their voice acting and their likenesses. And all of a sudden, I've known a lot more women that are suddenly playing CyberPunk. That's been interesting. Or have suddenly shown an interest in CyberPunk and want to see footage of it. But yeah, that stuff, it's all very cool. You can play... So in order to get into Dogtown, you are going to have to play a few of the story missions first. There is a point where you can stop doing story missions and just kind of go back to your regular Cyberpunk's story playthrough, and then go back to Phantom Liberty later on if you like. I wouldn't recommend that, although CD Projekt have, just because some of the story is referential of things that have already happened in the other story, and I wouldn't say it's spoilery, but it might be confusing if you've not done it so far.
Someone else that I was discussing the game with told me that there are parts in the new content where you have to wait around and do stuff, so it's good to have at least some side missions to go off and do.
Okay, I haven't got to that point then.
Yeah,
that sounds good, because there's that point in the regular Cyberpunk story, and I remember I was ages ago, I was following this one mission, and it gets to a point and goes, "I'll just do some other stuff and wait for this person to contact you." And I've been going around doing all these kind of side missions, and I haven't progressed in however long since I last played, because I'm just going around doing all these side missions. And I looked the other day and I was like, he's still not coming back. I have to progress further in the story. Okay.
Right.
So I'm guessing it's that kind of thing with the new DLC as well. I did see a thing, the CD Projekt guys recommend if you buy this game, start a brand new character and kind of weave everything together. But when you play this, it does kind of point out that it is a side story as well. So I don't know. But definitely, I've gone with continuing my character, because I continued them on from the next gen update. I never finished the full story. I was really enjoying it, and I like my build, and it looks like me. So I kind of want to keep them and not start again for the third time just because of the DLC that came up. But yeah, it's very enjoyable. I really like it. If you finished with Cyberpunk and looking for a reason to go back, this DLC is a perfectly good reason. If you tried CM Punk and fell off, CM Punk, that's a wrestler.
CM Punk.
if you tried Cyberpunk and fell off of it because of all the glitches and the bugs and stuff early on, that was fixed a while ago, but now they've completely retooled it. Go install the 2.0 version, see how you're finding it, and then pick up the DLC later on. But yeah, it is a worthwhile purchase. I really like it.
I'm in two minds, partly because I think it's slightly different for you, because you bought the game when it first came out like I did, but then you returned it and got it at a lower price. So I think you can financially justify buying more of the game more easily, whereas I feel like I've paid full price for this game and didn't get a product in return. And so I'm a bit loath to give them more money if I'm not going to get deep into it. But then, do you think I could get into it, play a bit of it, and if I like it, then buy the DLC? Do you think that's the best way to handle it?
Yeah, totally do that. Plus start again, because it's been so long since you last played. I was going to say you can pick up where you left off on the previous gen. But
I won't do that anyway.
The improvements, the gameplay improvements are there just by installing the 2.0 patch. The paid stuff, without doing the story mission, I think you're only really going to get like a car out of it, because you just get a text and it goes, "Hey, you won this car," and you go, "Oh, thank you. I want a car. That's nice." And it's not even the best car in the game, so I don't even use it. And I like the motorbikes anyway, so.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I would say go install the 2.0 patch. You were pretty early on from what I remember, so just kind of stick with that for a bit. If you get a flavor for the story and then want to add in the side story, then go for it. It's £25. Yeah, but you should have done what I did, Tim. I returned mine. I got a full refund, and then when they relaunched for £35, that's when I picked it up.
Yes, should have probably done that.
Smart.
As I said, if I'd feel a bit better about giving them more money if I had done similar. So yeah.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Also, we were going to talk about Payday 3 this week, possibly, but we'll return to that when we've actually played and possibly when it works a bit better by the sounds of things as well.
We only did tutorials, and it's always online, and now they might be reversing the always online because everyone's complaining about Payday 3.
Yes, because it's not working their servers are not working very well by the sounds of things.
Yeah, I mean, early reports kind of said, "Hey, this is great," and then when it came out fully, a lot of people just went, "Yeah, it's Payday 2, but now it's got a 3 on the end." And then when it got its full release, everyone went, "Hey, it's always online. We don't like that. How about you get rid of that?" And
I think it's more of a problem being always online when your servers aren't working and people can't connect to the game they've just paid £70 for. That's a bit more of a problem. Like we were playing on Game Pass, so we're less fussy, possibly. But yeah,
that's the Diablo 3 on PC launch syndrome. We call that
exactly. But that does seem to be the problem of a lot of online video games these days. Basically, servers are an issue. Just quickly, also mentioning something that you went in depth in last week, so I won't go in, but you were kind enough, Mr. Coleman, to buy me for my birthday a copy of Mortal Kombat 1.
Well, so you only turned 57 once, so, I thought I'd treat you.
Hey.
Hey.
I'm old enough already without you adding another 12 years.
55. In a 54.
No, go down. Lower. Anyway. But, you're kind enough to buy me a copy of Mortal Kombat 1. I have played through the entirety of story mode, which I thought was really good fun. But, as you said, got a bit bonkers near the end of the story, especially when they were just like...
trips over too hard.
They were like... But basically, to summarize without spoiling too much, they were like, at the end of the last game, they're like, we've repaired the timeline. And then they were like, maybe we didn't repair the timeline that well. There might be 2 timelines. And then someone, maybe let's say Johnny Cage, goes, what if there's lots of timelines? And so there was. And I liked the end of the game and fighting different versions of people and stuff. I thought was really good. But yeah, it's very odd story-wise. I don't know why they did what they did with what they did.
Did you watch the post-credit?
Yes.
Again, without spoiling, I wasn't that enthralled by the post-credit, but I think that's just setting up expansion the story like they did with Mortal Kombat 11.
Are they setting up the person that you see at the end there who seems to be in charge of a gang of people? Are they setting up as the big bad for the next game, do you think?
I don't think it's the next game. I think it's going to be another expansion.
More expansion stuff. Because also, the thing that you can play that's probably best to play afterwards, but you can play what is it called? It's not the crypt mode thing. It's the invasions.
Forget, but I know
invasions.
Oh, that's it.
Yes, that I like, and I like the setup for that, and I can understand why they went in the direction they went with the story to set up the invasions, because the invasions are seasonal and they're going to change from season to season by the sound of things.
I didn't know that. That makes sense, because they like to do some way of you earning different like seasonal loot, which I really enjoyed in the Injustice games. The Mortal Kombat games I'm not too bothered about. I just want like cool loot.
That means we could get cool Halloween loot next month, Coleman.
Oh yeah,
that
I guess
sense
so.
In Mortal Kombat Land. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun. But now I'm really deep into Cyberpunk. Have you tried the online versus yet?
No, I have not. Because
they did something really cool with that. It's
really?
it's really funny. If you get a disconnection, the person who's like rage quit or whatever, their character just explodes into blood and bones, and then you get an automatically win and fatality and a point.
Oh, nice.
Genius.
Okay,
I love that.
cool. I have got a little bit better at doing fatalities since the last time we fought as well. So only a little bit.
It's funny because like in the arcade days, you had to be quite quick in the way that you did the inputs, and the same on the old the home ports and things for it. But on this version, it's like it's quite
slow and deliberate.
Instead of going da 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 da, it's like da 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 da, and then I'm watching it, it goes finish him, and I could just hear. Tim, you're doing it too fast.
Oh.
Yeah, good game though. We had a fun night with that. Unfortunately, I was feeling the effects of a flu shot, which affected me last week, and had to go home to bed because I was tired.
Oh. The one thing I'll say is it feels like the roster is a little bit bare bones, and it's like not terribly so, but just a little on the thin side, especially compared to previous recent games. And I know it's going to be padded out by some DLC, which I'm tempted to because it's got Homelander and Omni-Man and people that I'm looking forward to. But it does feel like it's oddly lacking some like stalwarts and people that you expect to be in a Mortal Kombat roster. For me, particularly Sonya, Jax, and Kano. Like it doesn't.
Oh, they'll tell us those later though.
Yeah, but it doesn't entirely feel like a Mortal Kombat game without them. No, like it feels weird. I know you see them in the game and they are in the cameo things, but it feels weird not to have them as playable characters.
Yeah, I do feel like we got gypped a bit with the cameo. I like the cameo system, but by making the cameo characters not playable, and annoyingly, some of the cameo characters are playable. So when you've got ones that aren't, it just makes me think, well, you put the character models in there. Some of them appear in the game's story. You're going to sell me these later.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, like they seem to have announced the first range of characters that are coming with the pass, but whether that's the only pass they do and whether they end up add I wouldn't be surprised if they add more characters to it, but as you say, it does feel like they're selling as bits of the game that possibly should have been with it. But that said, the overall game feels like a very well fleshed out game with like lots of extra modes and the tower modes and all the other things that do make it feel like a reasonable sized game. But I thought the story mode was a bit shorter than I remember the previous ones being.
Yeah, I felt that too. Maybe because I've been hankering to, because I told you I really enjoyed the Mortal Kombat 11 story. I mean, I really enjoyed X and 9. I really enjoyed those stories.
Yeah, 9, 10, and 11.
So
all good.
I'm actually tempted to go back and play through 11 again and then go back through 1 again, just because I want to kind of compare how long they were, but also just because I enjoy them. So we'll see. But I don't know if I'm just because I'm adding the expansion stuff on there before as well when they did the Season 2 content.
Right, yeah.
But who knows? Anywho, right, we should move on to the news. And we mentioned CD Projekt and CyberPunk 2077, and that's going to come back around because you may have heard there's a little thing, a little kind of conflict going on between Russia and Ukraine, that the world is mostly on one side. And
small war thing.
Not so much the other. Yeah. We
Unless
try
you're
not to
masked,
say too many things
about...
we try not to say too many things about getting the ire of the YouTube gods up against the wall. But there's been a little something going on with the release of Phantom Liberty over in Ukraine, because the Ukrainian localization, they make mention of some anti-Russian sentiments, we shall say,
right,
pro-Ukraine and anti-Russian in regards to the war and referencing the war and all this kind of stuff. And I believe there's a derogatory term used against Russians in particular, which has had a bit of backlash. And that's caused CD Projekt to come out and go, hey, we didn't know that was there. We hired out the localization to a Ukrainian team. We didn't know they did that. We're really sorry.
Props them for doing that, to be honest.
I mean, but they've gone, well, we're gonna get rid of that. Sorry. There was a localization project manager who was on X who said that they didn't know they were going to do it. They refer to lines where there were translation that had lost meaning in Ukrainian, so they kind of patched in what they wanted to in there, and it caused a bit of issue. CD Projekt have said, look, we are pro Ukraine with the war. We don't want to put that in our game.
Don't upset anyone.
Yeah.
Also,
and,
just
you know,
while we're on not mentioning things, I refuse to call it X. You can call it the app formerly known as Twitter, please.
No, I'll call it X. I don't care.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, CD Projekt, lest we forget, is a Polish studio, and you know, history has shown some run-ins with Russians in the past, so they might not want to upset them.
Fair enough, I guess.
Yeah. Also, Tim, you'll be glad to know my DeLorean has worked. We are back in 2011 because a ransomware group has claimed that they've breached Sony's systems. Yay! What are you going to do with your 4 free games and your PlayStation Plus membership free a month?
Is it just me? Like, is this one of those things where Sony should have probably already told us to change our passwords already? And should we be changing our passwords? Is that a thing? Should we be worried as a consumer?
I don't know. There's a there's a cyber group that called themselves Randomized VC, and they've claimed that they have breached the Sony Group's systems across entertainment and PlayStation and what have you, and that there is data for sale.
Stolen Spider-Man's underpants.
Yes, there is more information available on Cybersecurity Connect. You can read about. I'll put a link in the show notes for this here episode. But they are claiming to have stolen a number of Java files and a file tree, which has less than 6,000 files, but also caches and other things as well. Sony have been asked, "Hey, what's going on with this?" And they've gone, "We're not getting back to you just yet because we don't know what's going on. We're looking into this." So maybe go change your PlayStation passwords just in case. Maybe.
Oh,
I think it's a good idea.
Oh.
Interestingly, this week, so last week we had TGS, which we didn't really cover much. We went over on the games we done played, so we didn't really cover much in the way of news apart from the Xbox leaks. But there was a nice little quote that came from the president of Capcom, if I can get this name right, Hiroshio Tsujimoto. That sounds
I'm guessing you
wrong.
didn't get that right.
I did not get that right, but during Tokyo Game Show 2023, he said that development costs are 100 times higher than they were in the Famicom era, but software prices have not gone that much. He's also claimed that they need to have pay rises within the industries and wages as a whole, but and the kind of system as it exists at the moment is not very healthy. So games need to cost more money that they are charging to the general public, which on one hand, go on.
I was just going to say, there are two factors there that are really heavy arguments against what he's saying. One, distribution costs are nowhere near as expensive as they used to be with games going to digital platforms. I'm not saying they're
and Microsoft
non-existent,
apparently
but they are
trying to force that.
Yeah. And also the economies of scale. The amount of people playing games these days means that you can sell a lot more games a lot more easily, and that helps with your budgets, basically. They are two factors that massively offset the increased costs of development. They don't wholly offset them necessarily, but they are two factors which really do a lot to kind of, go against what he's saying there, basically, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree with the point where he says that wages are too low across the industry, and there does need to be talk of pay increases. But the idea of charging more video games, more for video games to do that, they've already gotten up to a point where I know a lot of people, ourselves included, we are cutting back on the amount of AAA titles we buy because the RRP has gone up in a lot of cases from $49.99 up to $69.99. Now up to, we went up from 50 to 60 to 70 basically.
Yeah.
And £70 for a AAA game, it's got to be really good for us to kind of pull the trigger on that one. And in a lot of cases, I'm buying more physical games now.
Yeah, but since he mentioned the Super Famicom, things were a fairly, equal in price to what they were on the Super Famicom. You could pay £50 to £70 for a Famicom game, basically, or for a SNES game as it was over here. And even more, I remember people paying like 110 quid or 120 quid for the first issues of Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting and stuff like that. Like, that was like a ridiculously priced game. But as I said, like, console, like the cartridge is to CDs help that cost come down. Digital helps that cost come down even more. The production costs are not as high as they were. So, like, yeah. Swings and roundabouts.
No,
but also,
all that.
I won't disagree that wages need to go up, but that's not a unique thing to the games industry. Like, I think wages need to go up across the world.
That's where I was getting to.
Yeah, for workers and down for CEOs, maybe. So maybe CEOs should be quiet about this sort of thing. But hey.
Yeah, wealth should be shared in other higher up parts down to the lower parts, if you will, and that's across all industries, as you say. It's all right saying we need to charge more for video games, but it's like, well, are you actually going to sell more video games by doing that? Because our wages aren't going up anymore, and we're the people buying them.
CEO pay used to be like, say, 20 times what your average worker pay was. It's now more like 100 times or even greater. So, like, that's the thing that needs to come down, not the prices of games going up. So,
yeah. Right, moving on to some smaller headlines, and I wanted to quickly throw this one in there because I thought part of this was quite interesting. There's a game called Hyenas that's in development, was in development by Creative Assembly UK, being published by SEGA, and we like the guys at Creative Assembly, we like their output, even though not all of their games really appeal to me and you, Tim. I know Alien Isolation was a banger. I'm not big into like the war kind of strategic games, and another kind of hero shooter looking type game was not going to really get me to invest either. So Sega have announced that they've cancelled Hyenas, but apparently the studio didn't know it was cancelled until the morning, a couple of hours before Sega decided to let the world know. But even then, before that, Jason Schreier was the first to leak it out before anyone else knew, including the developers. So I thought that was quite interesting. There's been a whole kind of thing. Profits are low in European markets for Sega. They have to make some changes in a lot of areas. This seems to be the first something in development that they weren't sure on taking a gamble for. I believe like a month ago, they put out something saying that they were putting work into improving the game that isn't even out yet. So it's been
and
an
I once
interesting
again
story,
recommend lowering CEO pay. That might be a good way to save some money. Like, just an idea.
Maybe.
Probably not the worst in the world, Sega, but I thought it would be a good idea just for everyone involved in general. Yep.
Well, yeah. Look at the one where Nintendo were at low profits one year. Well, for a couple of years, and Iwata took that pay cut.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't lose any employees. That's kind of something to look at in the game industry and think, why doesn't like the likes of Andrew Wilson do that? Why doesn't the likes of Bobby Kotick do that?
Johnny Riccatello, who, oversaw one of the worst periods in times of EA, failed upwards into another CE role at Unity, and look what a good job he's doing there. Glad you're paying him all that money. Well done. Brilliant.
Moving on, I thought this was interesting, even though I don't pick up the FIFA games myself. FIFA, as we know, the games, they are dropping they have now dropped the FIFA name, so they don't have to pay licensing fees to FIFA anymore. The game is now being called, officially it's EA Sports Football Club, but EA Sports FC 23 this year. Sorry, 24.
24?
Yeah, 24.
They always go the year ahead.
F1 always throws me off with that game. I never know what to do. Oh, and now WWE, because they've now started putting out the year after. Really? So anyway, I think Football Club releases this week, or is it out now? Maybe it's today.
It's definitely imminent. I'm not sure exactly what day it is, but yeah.
And just before that happens, EA have delisted the game FIFA 23 from all storefronts, except interestingly for their own streaming platform. I've forgotten the name of it now. It's called, I didn't write it down, doesn't matter.
Who cares? No one's using it,
yeah.
Coleman.
Well, no, what tends to happen, like the cycle with these games is when it's been FIFA, is new FIFA game comes out, old one gets heavy reduction, and if you trade it in, it's worth like 20 pence.
Yeah.
But if you're not too bothered about the roster updates and the very little in the way of improvement in each year's iteration of game, you could wait until that version's the new ones comes out and then just pick up the old one and have a good old time with your mates on the sofa. Not this time, because you can't buy it. Probably, I'm assuming you can go get physical ones at like CEX and what have you. But I just thought that was interesting. Seems that licensing extends to like the whole, just shut down in one go.
I would imagine that it hasn't been an amicable split, and that particularly from FIFA's side, they are not playing nice. Basically, that in football vernacular, they have taken their ball and gone home. Because I think it's very much a case of like they're not good. I mean, we said at the time that this was announced, I think I predicted that this would go a lot better for EA than it would for FIFA, because they're losing the name FIFA, but I don't think that carries the weight that FIFA thought it did. I think they threw their weight around a bit too much in negotiations, and they've lost out a lot more than EA have here. Like, EA make the big game, everyone's going to follow it. I don't think there's going to be a thing. From early reviews, it does seem to be the case that there's not a lot of innovation this year. It does seem to be that, some of the stuff they've put stuff into, their hypermotion stuff and stuff, hasn't really worked out as well as it could have done, possibly.
Harry Kane's on the wrong team.
There's that, Coleman. There's that. That's the reason I'm not buying it. But no.
I just realised you live quite close to me.
Come around and thump you. Make you eat that Portsmouth shirt behind your head. But
Oi, top of League One.
You're doing all right. They've made some weird decisions that I think might be unpopular with their fan base. Like, I don't really care, but they've mixed in to the foot stuff. They've mixed in like men and women, and so that they're on equal footing. And I can see how that will piss off some of their base, possibly, maybe. I don't know. I'm hoping it doesn't.
Yeah,
that could become a problem.
That's FIFA Ultimate Team. We don't really care about that.
I mean, but that is the thing that earns them all the money, basically. And it still seems to be microtransaction up the wazoo, which I did predict would still be the case as well. And I think that might be, I don't know because no one's spoken about this, but I think that might be part of the reason for the split. I think FIFA were probably asking for an increased amount of money, which probably EA was like, well, we're not really getting much value from this anymore. But also, and this is something I spoke about before, that these days, all of the like deals and signings and all of the like name rights and all that type of stuff is all dealt with on a not even necessarily a club by club basis, but in some cases an individual by individual basis. And FIFA doesn't really have an overarching kind of license agreement with all of the leagues and all of the players in that league and all that type of stuff. So I didn't see much of EA losing stuff like this. And it does seem like FIFA haven't partnered with anyone, haven't even started development of a large-scale game to compete with this. From what I've heard, and I don't know if this is the case, but from what I've heard, their idea was to partner with some NFT producing companies, which is the dumbest way they could have gone. Well done.
I'll give him this because there's been one decent partnership out of this whole EA for FC. It's going to take me a while to get used to this.
Right, yep.
Not FIFA game. They have partnered with Luton FC. Yeah.
Yay.
I've been seeing a lot of these little advertisements. They got that
these days, but you know.
They got that guy who does the comedian who does the greetings. He pretends to be greeters at stores. And like compliments people as it. So he's been outside of Luton's football grounds, like telling the players their rankings in FIFA. But then also I saw they
That's
were
cruel.
putting
It
out
won't be good.
this is a cool one because around the football stadium there's lots of the houses like built up right next to it, like the back gardens go up to the stadium walls and the ground walls, not stadium walls. And I saw they were putting out codes for, I think it's the currency for Ultimate Team or something like that, but the codes that they were doing, they painted them onto white shirts and put them on washing lines in the back gardens and then put the photographs on Twitter. I really like stuff like that. Whoever's in charge of the marketing on this game has actually done really well for me.
Okay.
I like getting smaller teams involved. And I've just been to Luton, so, I'm like, I know that place.
Don't go to Luton. I had this conversation with someone this week. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Right, we've got two more, and we've got to blast through them a little bit quickly, which is a shame because they are sad news in some cases. So we'll start off with Platinum Games. The legendary Hideki Kamiya is leaving. Those of you who don't know, he directed Resident Evil 2, was the chief creator of Devil May Cry, and he will be leaving from the 12th of October, which is a shame. He's looking for... He's been on X/Twitter, the artist formerly known as Twitter, whatever Tim wants it called these days, and said that he's basically looking for a new challenge. Keep your eyes peeled. So it sounds like he's going to stay within the video games space. However, Jim Ryan, the boss, the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment since 2019, he is going to be retiring in March 2024. Hiroki Totoki will be taking over as interim CEO on April 1st.
He has a much more fun name. I don't know anything about him, but I know
and
his
one that I
name
can say.
Yeah, is a good Japanese name to pronounce and fun to say. It's good.
So who are you? Hiroki. Who are you? Jim. It's not as fun. It's not as fun.
Big Jim. Fine.
Anyway,
Hiroki Totoki.
So he said that after 30 years, Jim Ryan, he will be retiring from the industry in general. And the reasons he has cited is that he has been working in North America and living in Europe, and it's causing a strain on his life. So he wants to, to retire and go to relaxing for a bit. Let's see where he goes from that. But yeah.
Something I was listening to today said he was 74. That didn't sound right.
That does not sound right. I will look that up. 63.
How did you say? That sounds more sensible. Someone said 74. That, as I said, that sounded too old.
Okay,
I would expect him to retire early. That makes sense. Also, I was just checking because he said he's been there for 30 years, and I was guessing that, and I just double checked. It does seem to be that PlayStation launched in '94, so he has been there for the entire lifetime. But that confused me a bit because I would have thought that PlayStation would make a bigger thing about their 30-year anniversary, and I don't remember seeing anything about that this year, which I would have thought they made a fuss about.
Yeah, because last time it was they did the special edition PS4 giveaway thing. If you remember. Yeah,
I think that I was guessing that was for 25 years. They don't seem to have done anything for 30 years. Odd.
Yeah, maybe they'll be giving away grey PS5s, Tim, at a pop-up in London somewhere.
I want a proper original PlayStation grey cover for my ugly PS5 to make it look less ugly. That's what
I will show you some Etsy stores later, Tim. I don't want to publicise them
I
because
want
they might
an
get
official
taken down.
one. I want an official one.
Well, you can do that thing where you put the sticker under
bedroom.
You can do that thing in the sticker under the plate where the PlayStation logo is, so you can have it in the original colours, and then you just put a grey plate on over that. That'd look pretty cool if you like that sort of thing. Fun times. That's all the news we have time for this week, and that's all the news we have, actually. There were some lesser things, took them out, couldn't be bothered. Right.
There's a lot of PSVR news today, which you won't let me talk about.
There's no PSVR news. You are talking lies, an absolute codswallop and claptrap.
I will discuss one of them because they're of interest to you flat screen gamers that we talk about and talk to on this show. So yeah, just for interest, Foglands, which got announced as a VR game initially, a PSVR 2 game, which looks very cool, had a new trailer, came out today, looks really good. But as part of that announcement where they announced their they announced their release date is going to be the 31st of October, which makes October even busier for PSVR. But they also announced there's a what they called FPS version, but it's basically just what looks like a flat screen version of the game coming out as well. So that's a cool looking roguelike game called Foglands, which is now announced that it's going to be a hybrid game rather than just a VR game. So that's of more interest to more people possibly. But that game looks fun, so worth looking out for that one.
Boring.
I could have predicted you to throw that in. I'm surprised you waited so long. But hey.
Well, I was being polite and waiting for you to finish.
My eyes, the goggles do nothing.
All right. Tim, Dan really wants you pulling away from his morning cape, away from his tear-sodden face, to tell you that you should go to tpublic.com/stores/BRB and buy a t-shirt with Dan's face on it. But if you're not in the persuasion of buying content with Dan's face on it, we do have other things. We've not just got shirts, but we've also got mugs and stickers and masks, what with that disease back around the corner. A case in this household.
I was about to say, someone in your house has COVID at the moment, so yeah.
Yeah, I may have to go get me a big red barrel mask ready. I
recommend them. They are funky.
Mm-hmm. But we also have some cool content on there. We've got that excellent Sonic shirt, that Zangief shirt, which I really want to wear, but I'm trying not to look like I'm kind of pro-Russian. So even though it's Zangief and everyone
I didn't
loves
think of
Zangief.
that. Should probably take that down. But anyway.
there's they just had a sale on a different, I'm not going to give them press because we're trying to flog our t-shirts. A different place where I buy t-shirts from, and sometimes they use licenses without paying the license holders, and they have a t-shirt that I've had my eye on for ages, and it says procrastinators unite, and then in very small letters below that it says tomorrow, and but the way it's like a red shirt with it's all done in black and it's a fist and stuff. I was like, it looks a little bit Soviet, so I didn't buy that one. But I've been wanting that for a while as well. So hey ho.
I did actually get an email from TeePublic yesterday or today, and they've actually got some really funky designs that they were pushing. None of ours I noticed, but some other designs they put. So I might actually take the Zangief one off and recommend a few other ones, basically, because I saw some cool ones in the last couple of days. But yeah, I've also got I've got some ideas for some other designs that I want to put up as well. So as soon as I get time to make them, I will do that as well. But hey,
yeah.
In the meantime, buy Dan's face.
Like a year ago, and never gave it. Yes, buy Dan's face. tpublic.com/stores/BRB. And while you're there, why don't you go pick up a Tabletop Tuesday t-shirt, and then you can wear it to the loading bar in Stoke, Newington. Almost said the old address again. Well, when you go there for Tabletop Tuesday. Tim, what's going on at Tabletop Tuesday next week?
As Coleman said, we will be at Stoke Newington Loading Bar on Tuesday, as we are each and every Tuesday, most weeks, with a new game. And this week, we have a stonking game called Allegra. It looks like a maths kind of puzzly based game. Looks fun. I like games like this, but we've been playing a few games like this recently as well, so I thought this was a good one to break out for now. But if you come along and play on Tuesday, if you play the feature game, you have a chance of winning a copy of the game at the end of the evening. So if you come along this Tuesday, you could possibly win a copy of Allegra just by playing it on the evening. There are more details on the top left-hand corner of BigRedBarrel.com, or you can join the over 2,000 people in our meetup group and search for Tabletop Tuesday on meetup.com. Or you can just come and join us at the loading bar, Stoke Newington, Tuesday from around 7:30 to 8 o'clock.
Woo! Tabletop Tuesday, the loading bar, Stoke Newington on the 3rd of October. Woo! The spooky month.
Just to point out, that's the beginning is sometime between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. The whole event doesn't run between 7:30 and 8 o'clock because that'd be a bit short for most board games.
I would be. Usually till kicking out time.
Yeah,
You don't
we
gotta
do the
go
draw
home,
about
but
half
you
10,
can't
but
stay
you're welcome
here.
to stay around and play some more games, as we often do. I was there till quite late last Tuesday, so hey.
If you ever get like a Tuesday off, will you go and start the event early? Can we do it like from lunchtime till 10:30 at night? And
I
we'll just
mean, we
get
could,
bladdered.
but I don't think they open
We're
that early.
playing Gloomhaven. Drunk Gloomhaven. That'll be fun. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds fun. All right. If you have enjoyed this show, then Lord help you. But we'd like you to tell us that you enjoyed this show by leaving us a review in whatever way you are listening to this podcast. There is usually a way of reviewing it, be that Apple Podcasts or almost said Stitcher, but I think it's dead. Podcast Addicts, any of those kind of places. There is ways of reviewing this here show. You can usually do it in the app that you're listening to it in, if that is indeed the way you are doing it. You can go over to bigredbarrel.com and we have a comment section on each post. So go to whatever the latest podcast is and leave us a nice little comment there. While you're there is a link to our Discord. We have a Facebook and an X and a Threads. I almost said an eggs. Oh, should we start calling it that? We have a we have a Facebook, we have a Threads, and we have an eggs at Big Red Barrel, and we have a YouTube, Big Red Barrel TV. No eggs on that one. And you can go over there. You can go to the comment section. You can talk to us. You can tell us how you enjoyed the show. You can say, "Hey Tim, I'm liking your hair today." Hey Coleman, I remember when you had hair, but not on video, only on photos.
No one remembers when you had hair, Coleman.
This hair used to be up here. This hair used to be. I turned my head around. Anyway, you can also go over there and you can ask a question by saying, I have a question. We'll go for the top one because I like this one. We've had a few of these for a little while now, so we've been stockpiling. Mild and Creamy, excellent name, says, the new series of Wheel Time has started, and as always, people are complaining that it doesn't follow the books. Ooh. What video game do you think would make a good show, and what changes would you make that might upset the fans? I would like I think I've mentioned this many a times, I would like a Monkey Island TV show, because I think there's a lot of longevity you could get from the story of Monkey Island. I would keep all the, I'd probably go live action instead of animated, which means you would probably lose, you'd lose all those voice actors that people love so much. Although you could probably keep LeChuck, because I think he would be a CGI monstrosity of some creation. I don't know who I'd cast in it. Maybe we'll do a fan casting episode one day, like we've done.
Who
before.
would play
start casting
the
stuff.
monkey?
Probably Dan, because he is a gibbon.
Aha.
And he won't. And I know, if I know Dan, and I think I do, I don't think he will listen this far into the episode to hear me make that joke, even though it really annoys him. Yeah, good. What about you, Tim?
Good time to get it in. See, I mean, like, it's one of those things. I know when people complain about, books and TV series being different and diverging, but they are very different mediums. They should diverge. Like, I almost, I want people to make things that suit the medium. I mean, possibly one of the greatest video game conversions from a video game to a TV series most recently was The Last of Us, and I liked that a lot more than I liked the video game, because it told the story. It did things slightly differently in places, but not enough to really annoy the fans, I would have said. But yeah, but in terms of also, I was just going to say, we saw this week that we saw some footage from the upcoming Tomb Raider series as well. And we talked about CyberPunk, and there's the animated series of that I think was quite good and really enjoyed. So, and
some of that stuff they've now fed into the game.
Yeah,
which is
and
really
I like
cool.
the fact that
like
that's
my
now
character
fed back
wears
into
the jacket from.
Okay, that makes me like the game, or be more likely to like the game more, because I like the TV series basically. But in terms of a video game that hasn't been made into a TV show yet, I don't know. There's what I did think of a good one, and then just because it's one of my favorite games, and I'd like to see. I think it'd be better as a movie than a TV series, possibly. But Ghost of Tsushima, that
is being made into a movie.
Is it?
Yes, starring the same guy who plays the main character.
Oh, right. Yes, I
Jin?
did hear that somewhere. Okay, well, that'll be good. I look forward to that.
Yeah. There you go, Tim.
That'd be cool.
You just whisked that into reality.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad
done
I have
you.
those powers. I didn't know.
By not
I
looking
didn't
at
know
the
I
news.
could do that.
I love after however many years of doing this show that you forget the news that you've reported on.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
But but as I said, I think you should change things for the medium that they're going into.
Yeah, because otherwise it's going to get boring.
Yeah, and I almost think it's better for the fans if there is a bit of a change, because if you're just seeing it go by the numbers and it's a story you've already seen, what's the point, kind of thing? I mean, yeah.
One day, I really want to one day just wax lyrical about the Last of Us TV show, because I really liked it. I will put it out there, but there's a lot of stuff that kind of rubbed me up the wrong way, and I really want to get into it. And I was invited to go on the TV DNA podcast a while ago, and I was going to go on there and talk, but I couldn't do the first episode, so I was going to do the last episode, but then I think they forgot that they said I could do that, and they never invited me back. Probably because I said I couldn't do the first episode. But yeah, I would have really liked to wrap that up, because there's a couple of things that I wanted to say about that, and maybe we'll find time one day and just go, maybe we'll have like a special video game media episode or something. It's like the Uncharted film. I really like that film. Apparently, I'm the only one in the world. But
No, I liked it
film
as well. It was good fun. I liked the kind of pulpy Indiana Jones style kind of thing.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was better than... I haven't seen the latest Indiana Jones films, but it's certainly better than the Crystal Skull one. I enjoyed it a lot more than I enjoyed Crystal Skull. So, yeah.
Yeah. And again, it changed... It referenced stuff from the games, but changed it enough that made it kind of fresh and entertaining for me. And I really liked there was a scene in Barcelona, and then a couple of months later, I went there. And pretended that was the entire reason I went was because of the Uncharted movie, even though I'd planned that like 6 months prior. So, hey ho. Right. Go on. One more. We'll do one more because this is a nice quick one. We've got one from It's Ed. He says, "You're locked into a battle for your mortal soul with death, a la Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. What video game do you play him?"
He is the best death. Just gonna say.
You may be a king or a little street sweeper, but sooner or later you get down with the Reaper.
Yeah.
I think I got that right. Yes, he says, where did I get to? What video game do you play him in knowing that you're most likely to win? That's easy. Bust a Groove on the PlayStation.
Oh.
Undefeated, baby. Or Evil Zone, also on the PlayStation.
In my youth, there was a lot of games that I thought I was pretty good at until we got to play stuff online. And then I realized I was not very good. Like Tetris, so...
Oh, yeah.
I'd have been tempted to say that at some stage, but no. I mean, the only thing that I got onto like charts for was the crash junctions on Burnout 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
Forget which one, but So I guess that. I guess that's one thing that I was very good at, because I practiced a lot. But
I don't know what game it was. There was some game that I was playing, and I tried really, really hard, and I got to like number 2 on the leaderboards of the world rankings, and I was so impressed with myself, forgetting that the game's not out for another week. And then I just watched my ranking go just get plummeted, and I think I'm now like 64,000 or something.
I need to go back and play more Masternoid so you can see where I am on the leaderboards on that as well. I was doing all right at one stage. Probably fell down a bit now, but yeah.
All right. Good answers all around. Good questions all around. We shall ask more questions.
Best 2 out of 3.
Twister! Right. This has
you have
been
sunk
BRB,
my battleship.
BRB UK 560. Thank you ever so much for listening. Hopefully we get Dan back next week, and hopefully there's no kind of issue this week that ends up the show coming out a day later. Once again, apologise for that. Went and had a flu shot before recording, kicked in after the recording, and got very, very ill for like 3 or 4 days. Not COVID
silly
ill.
Thing to do, Mr. Coleman.
Just ill. Was not fun. Did not like it.
No.
Wouldn't do it again. Although, flu jab now. So, hey. I didn't volunteer. They just wait round the corner, and then you're walking through the office, and they go, and they just get you in the arm. And go, flu jabbed.
How come you got a flu jab and you're infinitely younger than me?
Because they're free, and they come to my work and just go, do you want a flu jab? And I'll go, sure. Thank you, doctor. And they go, oh, I'm not a doctor.
This isn't really a flu jab.
I thought you meant to do this through injection. Nope. Close your eyes.
Feel the burn.
I thought it was weird that flu jabs were coming to petrol stations. Right. For this week, for this episode, I have been Coleman.
I might have been Tim.
And flu jabs are chaos. Until next time, dear listeners, a goodbye.
Your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
So talking of fatalities, now that Tim's got 15 games to speak about, we're going to get a basicality, I think, is what's going to happen. Finish him! Basicality.
Lality.